Happened overnight across the Northeast, a rare earthquake rattling New York City and parts of New Jersey. Yep, I said an earthquake. Wild, right? Well, the shaking freezing millions of people in their tracks asking, wait a minute, what just happened here?
I'm literally sitting on my couch, my whole apartment starts vibrating. I live in New Jersey. I'm starting to feel like I live in Los Angeles. We're having an earthquake once or twice a year. I text my fiance, I'm like, there was definitely just an earthquake. Sure enough, I checked X, aka Twitter, and there's an earthquake here in northern Jersey. Insane.
A small earthquake in Hasbrouck Heights rattles nerves and buildings in New York and New Jersey.
This is the second earthquake to hit the Garden State in less than 2 weeks' time. Our Zania Maldonado is joining us live from Washington Heights. And Zania, any reports of damage in our area?
Doug and Jenna, well, so far this morning, officials here in New York City and across the water in New Jersey say no damage and no injuries have been reported. And as mentioned, this is the second earthquake in New Jersey in less than 2 weeks. A series of small quakes centered around the Morris Plains area in New Jersey back on July 21st and July 22nd. And here in New York City, if you are waking up to any type of non-emergency damage,
avoid the rising water. Severe storms and flash flooding slamming the East Coast. Emergencies declared in New York and New Jersey. Rainfall rates of 3 inches per hour, making a mess of rush hour. Water filling up this bus. Outside Baltimore, water swamping roads, stranding drivers. Heavy rain also in D.C., this massive tree crushing cars. A different problem in the upper Midwest, smoke from Canadian wildfires causing some of the worst air quality in the world. Alerts issued from Minnesota to Indiana. Meanwhile, in Texas, we're learning more about the catastrophic July 4th flood. Drivers trapped in vehicles along this expressway. Powerful thunderstorms hitting Pennsylvania. Multiple lightning strikes reported.
A new record set for the longest lightning strike.
It was certified by an international weather organization on Thursday, and meteorologist Joseph Neubauer joins us now. Joseph, this strike had happened nearly 8 years ago, but how long was it?
It was 515 miles long, guys. It came from a storm complex that actually impacted parts of Oklahoma. Scientists are calling this a mega flash, this lightning strike. It was from a 2017 storm complex that stretched from Missouri through eastern Oklahoma, all the way down into Texas. It was on the night of October 22nd, 2017. At the time, the World Meteorological Organization, they had just started digging into some new satellite data from GOES 16. They actually used it at the time to document and track lightning discharge, but the storm kind of went under the radar and was not fully documented. But here today, or rather yesterday, nearly 8 years later, a re-examination confirms the lightning flash distance, comfortably beating the previous record for longest lightning strike. That was 477 miles from a storm complex back in April of 2020. A representative there at the WMO says it's likely greater extremes still exist, and that we'll be able to observe them when more data comes in over time. But back to that 515-mile lightning strike. Just for some perspective there, here on a Friday morning, that would take 8 to 9 hours to drive. A commercial plane, about 90 minutes to get that distance. And then a little bit of math early this morning, Jonathan, 515 miles.
So we're excited to see what kinds of lightning come out of this new work, and especially as technology improves and we are able to get satellites in other parts of the world, then we'll be able to expand towards the eventual mission of providing global coverage of lightning.
Now, unlike ground sensors, satellites sit about 22,000 miles above the Earth. This is really cool video. And they move along with the planet's rotation so they can keep a constant eye on huge areas, catching lightning whenever and wherever it strikes.
Nature is scary.
That's so cool.
The previous record was 477 mile length, and that was from Texas across Louisiana and Mississippi. So, they beat the record.
Darn
my
it.
gosh. We had to.
Did you see the first one?
It was actually in 2020, so it was an active storm, but it's hard to, at the moment, almost impossible, if it's one continuous strike. It has to be researched after the fact.
At least 30 people have been killed in flash floods, which have hit large parts of the Chinese capital. In some areas, local residents teamed up with firefighters to help pull trapped people to safety. Almost a year's worth of rain fell in Beijing in just 4 days, according to local media. The worst affected areas include the northern districts of Yanqing, Huairao and Miyun. In Miyun, two towns have recorded over 54 centimetres of rain, which is just short of the 60 centimetres Beijing usually receives in a year.
The massive deluge of rain in Beijing's Miyun district flooded its streets with torrents of muddy water. The local river burst its banks and swept up everything in its path.
The rescue effort has been frantic. At a nursing home engulfed in water, firefighters saved nearly 50 people battling through a raging river current. This all followed torrential downpours which have been hitting the outskirts of Beijing with a huge force. The easing rain revealed the carnage of the last 48 hours. The speed of the driving flood was shocking. People we spoke to said they thought they'd be okay, but were still very worried.
We couldn't stay at home with water right up to the bed.
I was here the whole time. Who wouldn't be afraid?
It's such a pity. I'm nearly 70 and have seen nothing like it.
My house is there, and my car has ended up there.
We've seen significant resources deployed to the mountains outside Beijing. In recent times, there have been plenty of deadly floods here, so this time round, the authorities are taking no chances, and Xi Jinping has ordered emergency teams to spare no effort to try to make sure that there are no more casualties.
Right now, locals are taking stock of the damage to their businesses and their homes. But for those still in emergency shelters, this is all yet to come. We visited one centre housing 400 people whose homes are still not safe to return to. At least here they have a place to sleep and food to eat. Meanwhile, the nearby dam is releasing gargantuan quantities of floodwater, with more rain to come. Stephen McDonald, BBC News, Miyun.
It is the rainy season in Beijing, but this year all the rain seemed to arrive at once. Almost half a metre fell in Miyun in the space of a few days. At least 30 people have been killed, most by drowning, some in homes that collapsed due to the intensity of the downpours. More than 80,000 people have been given temporary shelter. In this community centre in Miyun, the deputy head of the district said they are looking after 140 people. The oldest is 91, the youngest is 7. In neighbouring Hebei province, the speed with which the water rose left this woman trapped in her car. Her screams were heard by rescue teams, who managed to get her out in time. The start of August is usually when we see the worst of this kind of weather, so the region is on high alert in case there is still more to come.
Let me close with this. Why is it important, Dr. Peterson, to study lightning in so many different facets?
Lightning is a hazard on its own, but it's also very useful. So, the thing with lightning is that you never quite know if you're going to get struck. All it takes is one strike and you're out, like the famous quote goes. So even though you're not likely to get struck by standing out underneath a given thunderstorm, it's not worth the risk because there's always a possibility that you will. And unfortunately, we see that happen, pretty often throughout the year, especially outside of the US. But the thing is that lightning is also a useful tool that allows us to peer inside what's going on within these severe thunderstorms, to understand how their updrafts are changing and how the charge and the precipitation is being redistributed throughout the clouds. So there's a lot of information we can glean by looking at lightning, which is a relatively simple measurement to make, just by providing this data set over a large part of the earth. We can actually do a good job of understanding exactly what thunderstorms are doing and what they're capable of as well.